cycling, Stars Hallow, singing, French, English, business ownership. I'm chatting with Gilmore Girls star Yanic Truesdale next.
You are tuned in to Black Hollywood Lives. Breaking into.
Oh, I love a song. Song with great meaning, too. I tell you, it has great meaning. Oh, I love it. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Into here on Black Hollywood Live. I'm your host, of course, as always, James Lott Jr. I'm so glad you guys are here today. I'm trying not to fan out too hard, trying to hold it together. So excited. It's going to be a great episode. You can follow us on the Breaking Into page on Facebook, and you can follow me everywhere on the interwebs at James Lott Jr. Just that simple. So my guest today, I mean, he does so many different things, but you guys know him mainly because the Buster Show is coming back to Netflix. So excited. He played Michel on Gilmore Girls for like the 1,000 years it was on. It was so good. And he also started a business in his home in Montreal called Spin Energy. We're going to talk about both of those things and more. I'm talking to Yanic Truesdale.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. See, the studio audience.
Class, my God, wow.
The studio audience. Oh my God, I am so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, first of all, did I hear a thing that, did you learn English while you were in Canada, or did you learn it here?
No, I learned English when I was in New York.
Oh, in New York, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I went to Lee Strasberg for like a year,
wow.
and I stayed in New York and lived in New York, and that's really where my English, where I improved. I mean, I had to do scenes in front of the class and explain the goals of my character and all that stuff, and it was so painful and basic. I really had bad basic English.
Yes. Now, I mean, because English is a hard language to learn, isn't it?
It's not actually.
But
French is a really hard language. But now that I know both languages very well, English is very straightforward.
Okay.
French has a lot of exceptions, and they kind of make no sense. You just have to know why.
Okay.
Or you just have to know them.
Yeah.
So it's a tough language to learn.
It is. Because I always figure, because I know Spanish, I always feel like Spanish and they have like more big rules that you kind of follow. English, two words can mean the same thing, and like in a different way it's spelled. I don't know. I wonder. But it's very interesting. You found it a little easier to learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up speaking French, so I didn't have to go. But I've had a lot of friends that have tried to learn French.
Yes, sure.
And I can see how difficult it is. And when they ask me questions, it kind of makes me see like, oh my God. It's true. It's kind of hard to know the answer.
Yeah.
I just know because I was raised with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever dream in English? Or do you dream in French?
Oh my God, that's a very tough question. I don't even know which language I speak. I probably dream in English at times, for sure.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I live in English here.
Yeah, you live here in LA.
So, yeah.
But it's funny, whenever I go to Puerto Rico, I go to any Spanish-speaking country, and I'm there for a length of time.
Yeah.
And you have to use my Spanish.
Yeah.
I'll come home and I will completely I'll dream in Spanish.
In Spanish, but was Spanish your first language or
second.
English? Or your second?
Yeah.
But your parents taught to you in English or in Spanish?
I had family who taught me as both.
Okay.
And I grew up in LA where it was very bilingual here too.
Okay, so it's really both languages are really in you.
Yes.
Okay.
And what's funny is that was something that was really interesting because my friends told me when they go to other countries sometimes you have to really immerse yourself in speaking the language. You're already thinking that way then.
Yeah, I think languages is the greatest gift that you can give to a child.
Yes.
I have a friend who just he's 70 years old, just had a 2-year-old daughter.
What?
Yeah. And they're French Canadian, a very famous producer, by the way, a film producer.
Okay.
And he's French Canadian, and his daughter, guess which language she speaks?
French Canadian.
Cantonese? How do you say that in English?
Cantonese.
Chinese. Yeah.
Nice. Cantonese. Okay.
Because he thought that she should learn, and he hired a Chinese nanny.
Wow.
And I think it's brilliant. Her first words were in Chinese.
Wow.
And I have a friend who speaks 9 languages, and I am sure you who speak 2.
Yeah.
Don't you agree that when you speak a different language, when you speak Spanish, it's a different side of your personality and your brain? Yes. Imagine if you spoke 9 languages. Oh my God. The openness that it gives you.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest gift that you can give to a child.
Well, is it also, like in Europe especially, in other countries, I mean, it's almost standard, 2 or 3 at least.
Yes. Yeah, I think, and when you travel in Europe, don't you find an openness into people? I think it's linked. I think it's linked because you cannot understand a culture if you don't speak the language.
Exactly.
So I didn't understand American culture until I spoke English really well. Then you find the rhythm, the way of communicating, the slang, which is very revealing of a culture.
Yes, I
all
agree.
of that stuff you cannot get if you don't speak the language.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's funny when I went to Dominican Republic, and they have Punta Plana and Punta Cana, which are the resorts.
Yeah.
I chose not to go there. I chose to go to actually Santo Domingo, capital city. It stayed in the colonial district. Guys with rifles are outside, did the whole thing.
Yeah.
Had a beautiful time. And in the guidebooks, they kept saying, "Oh, well, they speak English, and don't worry," and blah blah.
They didn't.
They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, at the Marriott I stayed at, they spoke some English. But that was literally about it. I mean, and their English was broken. I mean, it was like enough to say, "Hi, sir, your room 25." I mean, like, that was it.
Yeah.
So I was forced while I was there to really speak it. And you're right. I understood the food better. I understood the culture. I saw a couple plays. I mean, everything was just like broader yet more intimate because I knew the language.
Yeah. I find it interesting when I go to a place. I mean, if you go to Spain, if you go to Italy, they don't speak English.
Right.
And they don't want to speak English.
Oh, yeah.
Try to order in English in Italy. Go to Rome and try to order in English. He'll answer to you in Italian, and basically what he'll say is try to figure it out because you're in Italy.
You won't be eating. You won't be eating otherwise.
But seriously, and it's kind of like, I kind of get it, and it's kind of charming at the same time, but it's they're missing out.
Yeah.
Because if you don't open your brain and yourself to other cultures and trying to reach out the same way you as a tourist, you're trying to use some of their words and obviously not doing a good job at it. But if you meet somewhere in the middle, something happens.
I agree.
Something magic. If someone is completely blocked into going towards you, there's no energy, communication.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's funny because communication is key to everything, obviously. And anything that makes the world go round. Being present is to everything, too, in acting and life.
That's why social media and cell phones, I was so reluctant towards it for a very long time because you're not present.
No.
That's the downside of it. We're all connected, but we're not present.
Isn't that funny? We are connected on some level, but it's not the same connection.
Well, it's not a connection in the moment, and all you have is the moment.
Right.
So I'm sorry if you're with some friends that you haven't seen in a while, and you're checking your phone every 3 minutes. You're not with me.
Right.
You're with everyone else that is texting you of what's happening in their lives. It's kind of crazy to me.
It is.
But whatever. That's what it is.
No, I get it. My friends are amazed because I put my phone down and I'll be like having dinner with them.
Yeah.
Like I'm having dinner.
I don't check my phone during dinner. I'm sorry, unless I'm waiting for
Yeah.
something, obviously.
And if I do, I'll preface it first saying, "Okay, guys, I have a call coming."
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
You have manners. Good.
Yes, I do. Thanks to my parents or my grandparents, one of the two. I had a grandmother who was very, very southern Louisiana. You know, plastic on the couches. And she was in order. Like make some good gumbo and etouffee. It was all the bomb. And but I kind of learned. She taught us kind of how to carry ourselves, especially out there in the world. Because she was like, how people, you can't make a first impression twice, right?
Yeah. It's funny, though, that generation, because I was raised by my grandparents also for half of my childhood, and talking about being in a present moment, they kept plastic on their couches, right? My grandmother, she wanted this doll that was an art piece that we got for her that was very expensive. Where was the doll? In the box. Because she didn't want to get damaged.
I understand that, yes.
But I kept saying to her, you wanted the doll, and if you don't see the doll, it's in the box. What's the point of getting you the doll? Put it on the bed, it'll get damaged, but you'll enjoy the doll.
Yes,
oh my God.
They are from that generation. No, it's really crazy.
It's crazy. So the couch looked ugly, beautiful couch underneath.
Yes.
But you had the plastic because, God forbid, the couch needed to stay beautiful.
I know.
For when? For what? For you?
And I'm like, there's couch cleaners. There's things you can do to clean couches. Everything happens.
I know. So bizarre, but it's touching and funny, and it's a different generation.
It's a generation that's gone. I mean, there's some parts, I feel like not like an old person. Back in the day,
I know. I feel like I'm 95.
Exactly.
That's how I feel inside. You want to know how I feel inside? I'm 95, people. Thank you.
But there's some parts of that I do kind of miss today because there's a certain class that they brought to the table and strength.
Yeah.
And there's something there that, nowadays you don't see this much anymore. I mean, it's it's there in places, but the kids today have no idea. They have no idea.
No clue.
They have no clue at all.
Different time.
That's okay. So you're from Montreal.
Really? Who told you that?
Somebody told me. I don't know from your voice. I don't know. Somebody told me. Somebody out there.
I am. And the secret is out.
The secret is out. And so here's a question I have for you. What of Montreal have you always carried with you throughout your life outside of Montreal?
My God, that's a profound question, I guess. You know, French Canadians are very much people compared to the French people.
Okay.
French people, it all happens here up. They're very cerebral.
That makes sense, yes. Okay.
They'll talk about things with every angle and references, and they're very cultured and they have usually very good education. French Canadians are more from the heart, like Italians.
Okay.
Very quickly, if we meet you and even we don't know you at a party, at a dinner, whatever, we'll reveal ourselves very quickly.
Oh, funny. Okay.
Which makes people say, like, oh, you're so real.
Oh, how
I'm
funny.
not real.
No.
I'm just sharing who I am. I'm just sharing how I feel.
Yeah.
We're not, yes, we'll small talk, obviously, but I'll go to personal stuff very quickly, naturally.
Yeah.
We're just like from the heart. So that part is really within me.
Oh, wow.
This is who this is how I communicate.
Yeah.
This is how I am. So less from the head, more from the heart.
And now bringing that to Los Angeles, how does that work for you?
Well, it took me, well, I'll tell you, it took me 8 years to get used to living here.
Wow, 8 years?
I was miserable. During Gilmore Girls, that city made me so depressed because I had just moved here the prior year. But I was under contract, so there was no going back.
Yeah, right.
I didn't really have a group of friends. It took me a long time to have a group. I knew I had friends on the show, but everyone was busy. We're shooting. So in Montreal, you literally can be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You just went to the grocery and you bought a roast beef and you're cooking something and you're calling a friend at 5:30 and 45 minutes you'll have 6 people over and they'll bring wine and you'll have dinner. It's completely spur of the moment, very spontaneous.
Okay.
You cannot do that here. I'm sorry. You need to take an appointment for a dinner and like weeks ahead of time, and most likely the day before or the day of, they're rescheduled.
Yes.
Right?
That's very
So
true.
welcome to Los Angeles. I was just so crushed by that. I was like, where is everybody?
Yes.
And in Montreal, from point A to B, it's like New York.
Yeah.
You meet a friend, you run into a producer,
Yeah,
you run into,
that's
you
true.
chat at the corner. What are you doing? I was going to see a movie. Oh, can I go? I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And then you have a whole afternoon that wasn't planned that is fun and all of that. In LA, from A to B, you're in your car and all you have is your phone or the radio.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no running into a friend or there's no. So all of that felt very lonely for me for a while.
Yeah.
And to the point where I would go back to Montreal only on the weekends.
Oh, wow. You get that flight every time?
That flight every time. I did
All right.
that flight so many times.
I can fly the plane. I know how to get there. I know the flight pattern. I can get there myself. I'm fine.
So it took a while. But I would say that any city, anywhere in the world, if you have a good group of friends, then you have a sense of feeling at home.
Yeah.
And now I have that group of friends,
good.
but it took me a long time. And so now I love it.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to love it.
Yeah, everything you're saying is so true. Oh my God, it is. I mean, because in this city, and I mean the city, I'm using a generalization of it. It's like it's very much. I did this, and I do this, and I'm doing this right now, and I'm doing this right now, and the whole city is kind of like that. And in some ways, I like that kind of buzz because everybody's kind of doing their hustle. Everybody's like doing something, but there's times I want to turn it off.
Yeah.
I want to turn it off.
Yeah.
I just want to giggle and how, like we were talking before the show.
Yeah.
I want to talk silly or talk about the Real Housewives of Atlanta or something. I want to do something completely not in the business.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell you what I'm doing.
Right.
Just like hang out and drink wine and hang out.
Yeah, and it's a city where everyone is chasing something, right? In Montreal, no one cares what you do or how much money you have or what you drive.
Right.
Even like if you have a Porsche in Montreal, people are like, what? Why do you have a Porsche? It's so pretentious.
Yeah.
Like, it's really... the appearances of things don't matter. If you're interesting, that matters.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should
But
be.
here, if you're interesting, it doesn't go a long way.
No.
If you don't have the right car, if you don't live in the right house, if you all this crap.
I forgot because I left here for about 22 years and I came back, and I forgot about the whole car thing.
Yeah, the car's a thing here.
It is. It's like
The car's a thing, and I've had some fancy cars, and now I don't have a fancy car. It's just my way of saying, like, you know what, I'm old enough. I don't need if you don't like me because I don't have a fancy car, maybe you shouldn't be in my life.
Yes,
Maybe you
exactly.
shouldn't be my friend. Maybe I shouldn't date you.
Exactly. I think it's one of the base things when getting older. we care less.
Yeah, we care less. Yeah.
About stuff like that. We care more about other things, but less about that.
We care about the essence of things.
Yes, exactly. I like that. Exactly. We're going to talk about Gilmore Girls, folks, of course, and do all that. But first, we're going to talk about your business.
Yes.
Because after Gilmore Girls, you had decided to start a business, which is like, I have my own business. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, well, the order of things didn't happen the way you just described it.
So please tell me.
After Gilmore Girls, I did Canadian shows.
And they did for those, yes.
And 3 years ago, I was here for pilot season. I was going to go back to Montreal to do another Canadian show. And I've used to be a jogger. I can no longer because I'm old and my knees are fucked up. So I discovered spinning here, which I was doing at spinning studios, but I realized very quickly that Montreal didn't have spinning studios, which I thought,
really?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's insane. It's a big city. How come we don't? So that thought went into, well, someone should do it. Well, someone will do it. Well, I should do it. And then I became really excited. I was home. And I'm a very passionate person.
Yes.
And I just thought this was something I should do, someone should do. I was leaving for Montreal a couple of weeks later. I couldn't wait to be home. And then I went on my bike, because in Montreal I don't have a car. I ride my bike. And I just saw a space for rent, which I thought should be in the area where someone should open a spin studio near the McGill University. And then I just went in and signed a lease for 10 years. And decided I was going to figure it out. And 5 months later, the studio was open. So all that to say that the studio I opened, not to be smart, not to have a business, not because I'm a businessman, not because I had a big plan, just because I wanted to work out.
Wow.
While I was shooting my series, and I didn't have a place to work out. It's silly. But I don't know, but I wasn't being smart. I didn't realize how much work it is.
That's a lot of work.
I tried to open a business. It's 18 hours a day. The first 2 years, I worked like a dog. I had never really worked like that before. I mean, being on set, they put makeup, you learn lines, you're being funny. You know what I mean? But that's not real work. But working 18 hours, having employees with all kinds of personalities and characters, having to manage that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Talk about learning curve. But it changed my life because in a sense, it's a life experience that I'd never had before. It's very gratifying. I've had people coming to the studio, a lady, Nicole, who was in her 50s, 2 kids. She had had a heart attack, and the doctor finally gave her the go to start exercising. She was overweight. And she said, do you think this would be good? And I said, listen, just make sure that your doctor, I didn't want anything to happen to her.
No, right.
And she has lost 110 pounds. Wow. She's a different person. She's so healthy. Wow. And it's so gratifying because it's like giving health to people. Because what I do at the studio and what I'm trying to do that it did for me here is that you give them a way of exercising that is so much fun that they cannot find an excuse not to do it.
Right.
And I've succeeded in doing that, I think, clearly. There was a journalist that came to the studio to interview me when I opened it. And he was in a depression. His boyfriend had just broken up with him, and he was overweight. And I was so passionate about it that at 1 a.m. he bought a series of 20 classes. And by 8 a.m. he sent me an email, and he said, I made a mistake last night. I bought classes at 1. I don't want to go. This is not for me. I'm overweight. I should be in shape. And I said, listen, I don't need your money. Just go try a class. And if you do feel the same way after a class, I'll reimburse you. And he comes 6 times a week. He lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're affecting change.
Yeah. I love bringing positive changes in someone's life. As an actor, you do it by making them laugh, by making them realize it, by making them bond with their daughters.
Right.
Gilmore Girls, a lot of moms and daughter watch the show together and all that good stuff. But it's interesting to find other ways to affect and touch people, and I, by accident, found this way.
I say you're smart because they always say if you see a niche that's not being filled, fill it. You said someone should do this. Someone will do this. Why not me?
Yeah, but I've had that thought before for other things, and I didn't do it. I think the timing, I don't know what happened, honestly. I think the timing of that thought was just planted in my brain at the right time for me to put on all the energies that it required to make this happen and to make it grow. Because it's not because you're open that this is it. This is just the beginning of the work, right?
Yeah.
But somehow I've realized that I do know how to manage people. I do know how to communicate an idea and my passion.
Oh, that's good.
And I also know marketing.
Ooh,
I know it
yes.
through as an actor. So it's much easier to do marketing when it's not you, when it's a product or a service that you believe in, because you don't sound cocky selling it. It's something that it's outside of you that has impacted you. So you're only sharing your experience. You're not selling anything. I don't sell anything when I
right,
talk about, you know,
right.
I'm not interested in selling. I'm sharing what it does for me, how much I like it, and if it triggers someone's curiosity and then they come, then I'm like, oh, great.
Well, I always feel that, I said this before to some other people, I always feel that actors are sort of entrepreneurs themselves.
Yeah.
In the sense that you are the brand. You are the
brand.
You're the
but
product.
that's tough. I've always
It's
had
tough.
an issue with that.
Yeah, but I think it's how it is today. It is today, especially now.
Yeah, especially now. My God.
How many Instagram followers do you have? How many
I
Twitter
know.
followers do you have? I mean, like, people are getting auditions based on.
I hear that. Is that true?
It is. It is. It's happening more and more now. And nowadays, I don't know how you've been, but the audition. I used to be an actor for a minute. I did a few things. Now they're doing a lot of tape auditions.
Oh, that I do all the time.
Getting less. More
That
less
I do all the time.
They're going into actually the room and
Yeah.
like feeling the energy off the room.
I mean, I like and don't like it because
Yeah.
when you're in the room, you never know what they have in their head with
Yes.
that part.
Yes.
So until you're in the room, sometimes you walk in the room and then you're like, oh shit, okay, that's not at all how I saw this thing. And then you turn around and because I'm trained, I can make the quick adjustments
Yeah.
and suddenly give them a different performance.
Yeah.
But often they're so on a schedule, they don't have much time, and often they won't give you any adjustment. If you didn't hit it right away,
Right.
you're out the door and you're
Right.
not the right guy, which is so not true.
Right.
Had you given me a couple of notes, I could have been that guy. But also there's a lot of like physicality. If you're not physically, that's
Yeah.
not how I vision that.
Yeah.
But so that part is good to be in the room. But also what is good about not being in the room is that you can play with it.
Yeah.
And kind of like analyze and be like, okay, no, it doesn't come out how I thought it would. And then you play with it, and then you can give more of like a polished performance. But at the same time, they'd like to think that this is just your first draft.
Yeah.
So if it's too polished, then they're like,
Yes.
no, but yeah, it's so complicated. Honestly, it's like,
Why do we choose this business? Why do we choose it?
I don't know. I'm mentally ill. That is why I'm mentally ill.
Which works for your performances. Now, okay, so back to the business itself. So when you first, the idea germinated, you're like feeling and stuff. I mean, like, what was like your first step? Just looking for that place?
Looking for that place.
And when you saw it, that was you like, and that's that.
That was it.
10-year lease, got it. We're in.
That's it. And then finding architects, even though I have very strong visual taste and all of that. And then finding instructors, which was the toughest thing.
Were there people in Montreal then who could do it?
No, not really.
Right.
Not really. I had to find a team with the personalities that I was looking for, and I brought them to New York.
Oh, okay.
And we went a couple of times to New York, and they learned the upper body soul cycle, like a type of thing where you're cycling on the beat of the music, which is like dancing. So it's bringing together a lot of things that I love. Not only I love exercise, but I love dancing. I love music.
Yes, yes.
And because we cycle kind of like in the dark, you feel like you're in a bar or in a rave or like an event. So like all of that combined makes it really exciting. But finding teachers was very tough.
Wow.
What
is the one thing that you learned about yourself during this whole process?
I have no patience.
Oh, okay.
I have no patience. Patience is, I want things now.
Interesting.
But it gives me the drive I have because I am very precise. My vision is always very clear. And I understand, I have very little tolerance for people that have no talent in what they do. I always feel like if you're not happy at what you do and you're not good, just do something else.
Agree.
Get the hell out and let someone else good.
Yes.
And that's gonna, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And when you open a business, you have to deal with so many people at so many levels,
Yes.
like the finance aspect of it, the architects, the website, all of that stuff, and you deal with all kinds of people that I've never dealt with before.
Yeah.
I've dealt people in the entertainment industry, which is a good pool of people.
Kind of.
But I usually do things 4 or 5 times faster than anyone else. I end up doing a lot of things because they're not doing it fast enough for me. I don't have any patience.
Well,
That's
how'd you work through that? How'd you work through that then?
You work through it by pushing on people.
Okay.
I mean, everyone that I know that are business people that have opened a lot of businesses all said that what I did in 4 months is unheard of.
You said fine. No,
They don't understand how I opened this thing, built from scratch, a space where they didn't even have a bathroom.
Oh my God.
I have 2 locker rooms, a spin studio, like the whole thing. That sounds. So, but it only because I didn't have much time. I didn't want to spend a year on it because I was shooting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was the thing, and also because I'm very result oriented. If I'm going to try something new, like I'm doing Pilates now, I'm the type of person who's going to go to Pilates 3 times or 4 times a week just so that I get the handle of it and that I kind of get good really quickly, so that it encourages me to pursue it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do bodybuilding, I'm going to go and eat protein and be crazy so that I see results quickly. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
It's like a weird mentality with me. So it was a little bit of the same with my company. I did a lot of things very, very quickly early on just to make me feel like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be here a year and a half. It's going to happen. And I had set my deadline for the fall because I knew that fall in Montreal it gets cold and people want to go inside to work out. And so it was all,
smart.
It was all, I knew that the timing would have been good in the fall. So that's why.
Wow. That's great. Have you had to fire anybody yet?
I fired so many people. Oh my God.
That's a hard thing.
Yeah,
I'm like, ooh.
I don't know. I'm okay with that.
It's like firing's easy.
I mean, because if I fire people, I usually have very, very good reason.
Yeah.
And I do it in a very kind way.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out, or it doesn't work out for whatever reason, and it's very clear. I explain why, and there's no, but I've made mistakes at first, hiring the wrong people, the wrong type of personalities, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that I kind of learned by doing it. You know what I mean?
And there's some things you only can learn while you're in it.
Yes.
While you're in it. Now, folks, for us to be able to have these shows for you guys and bring them to you, we have sponsors. And we have one sponsor called DraftKings. And it's whether you're a golf big fan or just ready to start some kind of fantasy sport, I think because football isn't here yet. Or I should say American football. I mean, for the Canadian here. Actually, you guys have football in Canada too, don't you?
We do, yeah.
Football, we have football. Yeah. So right now we have a thing called, you can play, it's called 1 Week Fantasy Golf for free. It's every week at DraftKings.com. Just pick 6 golfers before a tournament tees off, stay under the salary cap, and you rack up points for streaks per hole, performance, tournament finishes, and more. Now the great thing is you can actually win some money. That's the whole thing. So you outscore the competition. That's really good. So DraftKings brings you excitement of golf, and it's this thing where they have like monster drives and putt things. It's just all this great stuff on there. And what you do is you go to DraftKings, and it's even more than just golf, whether it's fantasy golf. You can choose from a variety of sports that showcase your winning skills. And they have baseball, soccer, and even mixed martial arts. I know you can actually do fancy stuff on that one. So lots of sports fans are on there already, so you want to join them. And this is what they say, this is not fantasy as usual. They say this is DraftKings. So fantasy golf contests begin when tournaments tee off, so hurry, go to DraftKings.com, choose your golfers, and be sure to get ready and use the promo code BLACK. Just like Black Hollywood Live, that first word, BLACK, B-L-A-C, almost said B-L-A-K. B-L-A-C, can't even spell black. Come on, folks. And use the promo code BLACK to play for free. So that's great. So that's DraftKings.com, promo code BLACK. Go there now. So that'll be good. So it's one of our little sponsors we have to do. And now I want to talk about Gilmore Girls.
Yes.
I mean, I have to. But I think it's very impressive you started a business. I think it's very impressive. It's not everybody can do that.
Right.
And when you have a business, it's day to day, it's all the time.
That's right.
I mean, it literally is.
That's right.
And you're having 2 careers. You're holding down 2 careers.
Yeah, I'm 2 careers.
Oh my God, this is crazy. So now, did you even think, I mean, it had been talked about over the years, people had thought about it, I mean, that Gilmore Girls would come back in some form.
I mean, I definitely knew it was a possibility.
It's been like 9 years, right?
Yeah, it's been 8 years, and we've for 8 years, every year there's like a rumor, like there'll be a movie and this and that.
Yes.
So it did not surprise me, especially I would say after the ATX festival last summer in Texas. The response was so intense that I walked away thinking they have to do something about it. Yeah. Like it's just too alive still, too relevant still, growing still. That it kind of made no sense if nothing would have happened. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Like Veronica Mars when they came back. And certain shows are coming back. And like, the response is so big. Yeah. It's like, well, some form it has to come back.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you glad it's just actually 4 movies and not a series? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it could have been possible, a series, right?
Yeah.
Because too many people are busy elsewhere. And so I think the format helped getting everyone back. Yeah. So I think the format is actually perfect in that way. It was an unusual format at first, so I wasn't sure. But then when I read the scripts, it kind of all made sense, and it also gives more time to go a little deeper with some of the storylines and some of the characters. So it's kind of
now, folks, if you don't know this come back to Netflix, and like the theme song, it's Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall. The titles of the movie. I think it's very smart. Yeah, and the Palladinos.
Yes.
I mean,
they're back.
Oh my God, talk about amazing writing. Oh my God. I'll say this out loud. The last season, I was like, where are my Palladinos? I'm sorry.
I know.
I will say it out loud. I don't care.
I know.
I mean, their writing is so good.
It's so good, but to the defense of the writers that were there in the last season.
Do it.
It is, no, but actually I've never said that, but it's true. It is very hard to mimic someone else's voice. Mm-hmm. I mean, good writing comes from the heart. So you're asking writers to write coming from a place where they're trying to imitate someone else's heart.
Ooh, that's good.
It's kind of like not possible. You can't do that. Right. So it's kind of like bound to fail. You're going to fail at it. You're going to maybe try to get close to it.
There's some elements.
Then there's some elements that are there that are maybe easier to reciprocate. Yeah. But it's kind of like a tough tough job.
That's a great way of putting it. Actually, you can't really replicate somebody's heart.
No, you just can't. You just can't.
You can have a similar
sensibility. Yeah. You can have a similar sensibility, but so we're thrilled that they're back.
Yeah.
In that.
Do you like Michel?
I love Michel. I love Michel because in some ways we're similar. Okay. He's his dry humor and his sarcasm is very much like myself. Yeah. And also, I like.
You look alike.
Yeah. But I like that he speaks his mind. That he has no filter.
No, he doesn't.
And I know a couple of people like that, and I just feel like those people die very old. Because they don't keep anything inside. It's all coming out, and it might not be easy sometimes to deal with what's coming out, but at least it's coming out, and you're dealing with the truth. Yeah, he's not a phony.
No,
he's not a phony. No, and I like that. Yeah, he's authentic. Yeah, and I like that. And he has a lot of juicy lines. He's because he's so specific, and he has an opinion. I don't like people that don't have opinions. Yeah. He has an opinion on everything.
You were shady before shade was invented. Before the word shade was invented, it was like Michel was shady all the time. We didn't have that in. Lorelai, you always had a great line. It was like, there's some shade being thrown.
I know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, he's a great character. I love Michel. Yeah.
And you and Lauren Graham, just have to say, I mean, we've had so many great scenes over the years together.
So many great scenes. And she's great. She's so funny. She's so funny, and there's no one else that has that. I can't even describe it. I'm doing it physically. Yeah. Just like a wing. She wings. She's like she's there's something snappy in the way she can deliver certain things, and yet so much heart. Yes. And she's just very lovable. that character and the actress, the combination of the two. Yeah.
I mean, it's gotten so iconic. People are like, "I'm the Lorelai, you're the Rory." I mean, it's gotten that iconic.
Right.
How did Gilmore Girls come into your orbit?
Auditioning.
Okay.
I had been here for 10 months in LA, and I couldn't find an agent, so I hadn't auditioned for anything yet.
Oh, wow.
But had a lunch with a friend who was going on. It was not. She was afraid it was going to be a date, and she didn't want to go on a date with this person who was an assistant. So she's like, "Would you come with me?" And I was like, "What if it's a date?"
Yeah.
I'm like, he's going to be so mad that I'm there. So the whole lunch, I was trying to be funny and light, so that he wouldn't be like, "Damn, can he just not leave?" And as a result, he became later on an agent and remembered me because I was like the funny guy at his date, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah.
And he called me out of nowhere and he said, "Did you find an agent?" Because he knew I was looking for an agent. I think I called him at some point. And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm about to sign with this woman in the Valley." It was a tiny, tiny, tiny agency. And he said, "Well, I saw a breakdown for a part and I thought of you." He's like, "I took you to appointment. Would you like to go?" And it was Gilmore Girls.
Oh, wow.
So it was my first audition after being here for 10 months. Yeah.
See, you bring up a really good point that I was talking about, making that first impression.
Yeah.
You never know, especially in this town, who will remember you. So you should never take anything for granted. Like you said, being yourself.
Be yourself. But that's the problem, though, in this town.
Yeah.
People are aware of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like people often are too much all the time on.
That's true.
Relax.
That's true.
We're just having dinner.
Yeah.
You don't need to sell me anything. I'm not selling anything. So that aspect of like going to a party and network, I find it so despicable.
Yeah.
That's not, go to a party, get drunk, have fun.
Yeah.
And perhaps you'll meet someone because you'll make him laugh or whatever.
Yeah.
And there'll be a true, real connection. If you're going to network, you're not yourself. You're trying to say you're a salesman. Trying to sell something.
Yeah.
I don't think it works. I just think that philosophy or that way of thinking in this town is very twisted and really far from reality.
Because we are, all of us are one of thousands of people who are in this industry.
Yeah.
We're a dime a dozen.
The only thing that differentiate, that's a hard word for a French person.
Yeah.
You from any other people is you, who you are, truly, without hiding.
Yeah.
That will set you apart.
Yeah.
And when you can do that in a performance,
then
your performance is very unique because you've shared
Yeah.
who you are
Yeah.
through this character. And that's usually when people connect with your character.
Yeah, because you were nominated for some Canadian awards for some other shows you've done.
Yeah.
And so do you feel like when you were nominated, so was it like you knew that was a really good role you did? And you?
Yes, there's certain, I mean, you're always surprised to be nominated
Yes.
for anything because I'm always surprised, like, oh, people have seen it? I'm always like, oh, really? You've noticed? But the times that I got nominated for things were times that I felt very good about the work that I had done, that I had found a strong connection with the material in that character.
Yeah.
So it was always a time where I had a lot of fun doing it. And usually when you have fun, it means that you're connecting.
Yeah.
Because if you're not connecting, it's usually not that fun. So yeah.
It's hard to lie in front of the camera, I think.
You can, but
like,
people will see it.
People see it though. People see it. I think they do. I mean, people say, even when I host and stuff, all the people I host are like, yeah, they don't seem excited, or they don't seem into it, or like it's like when they're trying to grit their way through it. People think that, I mean, it picks up a lot of stuff, I think.
It's true.
It's like, you gotta be careful. Is there a scene or a storyline for Michel that you really, really are just really enjoyed?
I mean, anytime that something happened to him, because usually he was commenting on things that were happening to other people. But when it happened to him, it was more rewarding for me as the actor. So, there's an episode where he went to LA and he came back and he went to the Price is Right and he got veneers and Botox and he was so excited. He went to a Coffee Bean and he heard people talking with his accent and he, or there was a time where he Melissa's baby. Melissa, I think Suki had a baby, and he babysat for one night, and he was trying to put the baby to sleep, and he rolled the baby under the bed, and he called Lorelai in a panic, and the baby was stuck under the bed. There was an episode where my dog died, and I was planning a funeral.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know, any episode where he had, but there's my sense of humor sometimes is a little absurd.
I like it.
And there's an episode which I don't even know if people remember that episode. I don't remember what was happening in the episode, but I just remember that we had a horse in the inn, and Lorelai
sounds familiar.
Yeah, and Lorelai comes in, and there's a horse, and she's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, what? What's going on? And I'm completely denying that there's a horse. And she's like, there's a horse in the living room. And I was like, yes, there's a horse in the living room. What's, like, the whole subtext is, what's your issue? What's your issue? What's the problem? There's a horse, then what? Yeah. So I thought that was so funny that he denied the absurdity of having a horse inside.
That sounds weird. I said this sounds familiar. That's so funny. You guys get to play kind of like the straight man to her, like this comedy routine of like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
There's nothing going on. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
There's a horse. What?
That's right. So yeah, and so you know that was for an actor. That was a nice long run you had, wasn't it?
That's the longest run I've ever had. Yeah.
Doesn't really happen that often.
No. I mean, Lauren got kind of like lucky because she did Parenthood for isn't that for like 6 seasons?
Yeah.
That's rare. Back to back.
That is rare. That is kind of rare. But just in this industry, because I mean, aren't actors nomadic by nature? Do you think, or
what does that mean?
Like they are next role. Now you always want different. You want to play different roles. You move around.
Yeah, you do. But as you're getting older, you also want to have the security and the stability, and you're like, oh, I can write this. I mean, Jared came on set. But I think it was announced, so I'm not ruining anything.
Yeah, no, they did a whole article.
So Jared came on set, and so we were talking, and I said, "Oh my God, how long have you been doing Supernatural?"
Yeah.
And I think it's 12 or 15 years. Yeah. And I said, "Oh my God, are you okay? Like, are you like?" He's like, "Oh no, we love it." I said, "I'll do it as long as they want me to do." And I was like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
But he has a family. Right. He's getting. I mean, he's still super young. But what I mean is, there's something nice to it. Mm-hmm. But it's true that there's something nice to be playing a different part all the time. We definitely don't pick a acting career for the stability of it to do always the same thing. I think that's not really appealing. So I can see both of the appeal.
Yeah. That's a good answer. That's what I was saying. Because a lot of actors are like, I'm here to play, Shakespeare and this and that. And
right.
But then you get a series. Yeah. That goes on for a year. I mean, what do you do about that?
And especially because that doesn't come along often. No. I think if you have one, then you do. That's like you do it. Yeah. And then you have it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think you do 3.
I know some people get all.
I mean, some people get from one show to another, right?
I was laughing about Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Yeah.
Was somebody who was in a show called Day by Day years ago, and did Melrose Place, According to Jim, Ally McBeal. I mean, she just
some people. I
mean, just like really, Helen Locklear was another one. She was doing so many different. Love her. He's all love her. Yes, Marissa, I love her too. But like, she's completely. I mean, some people like they seem to land.
Yeah. Rob Lowe also. He's always on a show, right?
And looks good.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Like, some people. That's not my career. I've never had a career like that. I've always worked, but I've never been like from one show to another and like
But no, that's still successful because, as we know, as I said, acting you could not work for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Then get a job all of a sudden. I mean, it's like some people don't realize how tough it really, how unstable it really is.
It is really. You have to be somewhat mentally deranged or something. Something is wrong with you. Seriously, to do that job. Yeah. It is it's so hard at times, and the rejection aspect of it. That's why so many people just drop off the industry and just start doing something else.
Now, how has it been for you with the accent?
The accent. Well, the accent comes and goes. It depends when I'm tired. If I've talked for, I mean, I've played an FBI agent last year in a series, so I can definitely do the American accent.
Okay.
But if it's like if I have a script and in my life, I'm not focusing on not having an accent. Okay. So sometimes I think it's there, sometimes it's not. It's kind of like this weird thing. Certain words also are hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't.
But when you go back home, I'm sure it's like thick as thieves. When you go back, your accents like really come out when you're back.
Well,
home.
when I go back home, I speak French.
Yeah.
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 I just know that anything in this industry, you want to make it, of course, and a lot of things sometimes are against us. Just natural things that like accents or height or or color, obviously color.
Yeah.
Or hair or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I was wondering for you with the accent, how it's been with you getting jobs.
I mean, at first, I think I had a harder time controlling it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I worked with this fantastic coach in New York, a dialect coach called Sam Chua, who coached De Niro and everybody, actually. He no longer is, unfortunately, but he was a fantastic coach. So he helped me a lot to get rid of the toughest part of a French accent, which is doing THs and all that. We just don't have it in the French language. Yeah. So for us to do a the, that's why French people, they do z. It's more like a Z because we don't have that sound.
Yeah.
It's a very specific sound.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Edward Herrman. Any words on the late Edward Herrman? I just loved him.
I mean, he was truly someone special, a great actor, number one. But just personally as a person, just like a great guy who was very curious of others, very, 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 very smart.
Oh, wow.
Like you could talk about anything, and he'll be like, yes. And by the way, did you know? And then he'll add to, and it could be literally how like a type of material was invented or anything random.
Yeah.
He'll somehow end up knowing about it and be able to have that conversation with you. So that fascinates me. By the way.
Yeah.
And there's always like an elegance to him and his type of personality, and yet he could be so funny and vulgar just to make you laugh and kind of break that veneer that was naturally there. It was quite a shock for me, and I was really, really sad that I didn't know before, so that I didn't get to call and tell him how much I loved him and what a great guy he was and great guy to work with and all that. But such is life.
Was his presence felt on the movies?
Oh, very much so. You'll see.
Sure.
Yeah. He's addressed in a huge way.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh good.
Yeah, everyone loved him.
Yeah.
He was adored. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it looks like everybody's coming back.
Yeah, literally.
Side characters, everybody's coming back.
Everybody's there. It's a big party.
So I asked my guests the same two questions.
Yes.
And I don't prepare anybody beforehand. He doesn't know what the questions are.
Okay.
It's the same ones.
Okay.
So I believe language, we talked about language earlier, can propel us forward or hold us back. Language is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So what word do you think we should say more of or put back into our vocabulary?
A word that we should say more of. Well, it's more like kindness.
Okay.
Kindness and thoughtfulness.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
No one said that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like that. Thoughtfulness.
Yeah, I would say that.
Both of those we need. I always say people should be nice. Nice should be the norm.
Yeah. Nice should be the norms. We get caught up. We got caught up. The life we live, most people, we're so much always in a hurry, and we're all chasing things that we want, which is normal, which is human nature, but we get busy chasing and doing our things that the vision becomes narrower and narrower and narrower, and then that vision, it doesn't include the community you're in and the people, so you brush off people without taking the time of being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Right.
Hi.
Right.
Or holding a door. Yes. Or walking out at my gym. It drives me crazy. I go to the sauna and people will walk out and leave the door open or take their time to walk out. And you're like, really? We're 10 people in there.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're here is because it's hot.
Yes.
And you're walking out denying that we're all there to relax. So
yes.
Thoughtfulness and kindness to me are really
like that.
Would change people's lives, and people would have a little more of it.
I like that.
Yeah.
And what word do you think we should take out of or not say anymore?
Not say.
Yeah, like take it out of our vocabulary. Like, don't say it.
Wow, there's so many, I guess. But judgment, nastiness. Racism. Yeah, I'm just thinking of the presidential campaign
yes.
and certain candidates and things
yes.
things that I hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, nasty. Yeah,
those are good.
Yeah.
Judgment. You should take that out anyway. You should all take it out.
Yeah.
Take it out.
Yeah, take it out.
There's no place in our lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Not really.
No.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This has
You're
been a
welcome.
pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has been a pleasure. Oh my God, I'm just so excited. Now tell folks in that camera where they can find you on social media if they want to say hi to you.
Yes, well, I am much more at ease and love much more Instagram. So I would say that to find me on Instagram, it's Yanic Truesdale on Instagram. And I'm on Twitter as well. And I'm finding slowly my voice on Twitter under my name as well. So both places I'll say hi at some point. Not every day, but at some point. I'll give news.
And if you go to Montreal, go to Spin Energy. That's his
Yes.
place. There's also a Facebook page
Yes.
for you too. I liked it, so
Yes,
I'm on
thank
there.
you.
If I go, will I just kind of just go in?
Yes,
Just go in?
of course. Yeah, the first class is free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know the owner.
There you go.
That's right. Speaking of Montreal. And also, you can please follow him. And the Gilmore Girls is coming back at some point. I know
Yes.
you guys are filming. So.
Yes. And Sing It. Try to find Sing It on YouTube.
YouTube
new
Red.
series. YouTube Red, the new series that I'm doing that is a lot of fun.
And he did an interview with my girl, Sam Davidson, for AfterBuzz TV. So look at that interview also, too. That was today also.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's good. So I was really happy. Thank you for watching us again for Black Hollywood Live's Breaking Into. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. Follow me at James Lott Jr. everywhere and the Breaking Into page. And I will see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to...
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Christie, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.